Hi, my name is Roger Jenkins, and what I want to do in this particular video is talk to you about telling a story as opposed to reading it, which to me does make a huge difference. If I was to present this to you, let's say that I was reading from the book and introducing myself and saying, hello, my name is Roger Jenkins and I'm here to talk to you about my book, Stories for Moral Education, then my main relationship would be with the book. And I would only look up occasionally, every now and again, just to make sure that the kids over there were paying attention. Oi, you two! Okay. And your main relationship, I'm sad to say, would actually be with my balding patch right there. However, the moment that you put the book to one side, several things happen. The first is, of course, that now we're talking about eye contact. And all the time, you are looking at the audience. And I like to say to my audiences that if I don't look at each and every one of you at some point, during a minute or 2 minutes, depending on the size of the audience, then something's wrong. And so there's that feeling that this story is just for you. Secondly, as soon as you get rid of the book, suddenly now your hands are free, and it's much easier to start using them to support whatever may be in the story. And you become much freer to express things. And the third thing, and I think this is very important, that now that you're no longer reading from the book, you are using your words to tell the story, not mine. There may well be certain phrases in the story, and I've tried to highlight those in several stories, usually the last line, a closing line, where I said I think it's particularly important that you use a phrase or something very similar to it. But normally, you'll be telling the story in your own words, and you will bring to the story your imagination, your turn of phrase, your sense of humor. And what a terrific model you will be setting when you do that. And as schools move more towards the whole school approach in terms of English, then I think it's wonderful that you would be demonstrating that as you tell the story using your words. And no two people tell the story in the same way. We each have our own interest. The reason why you've chosen a particular story, I hope, is because the story appeals to you. Something about it really resonates with you, or it maybe reminds you of a particular thing. So that now leads me to why you would actually be telling a particular story. And I think there are probably 3 ways that you could approach the book. The first is, you think, next week it's honesty or integrity or teamwork, whatever the value is for next week. And you would look through the book at that chapter and you find a story that you think, yes, this is appropriate for my class. The second thing is that you look through the book and you find a story that you really like. It's a story that makes you laugh or gives you the goosebumps on the back of your neck, and you think, yes, this is a story that I'd like to share. And the stories that you like are the ones that you particularly want to share. Or the third thing is that you might look at your class and you think, this is a particular value that they are not practicing and that they need to be encouraged to work towards. And so you find a story that it deals with, addresses that particular value, and I'm sure that over the coming days something will happen in the class and you can say, looking at the way that you two or this group is behaving or not behaving, according to the case may be, and it reminds me of the 2 goats on the bridge or whatever, and then you could go into the story. It's really important that you, therefore, try to tell the story. And as they say in Turkey, step by step, one climbs the staircase. In India, thread by thread, the cotton becomes the loincloth. It's a gradual process. So why not begin with something very simple? Take the shortest story in the book. Okay. A dad, it could be a mum, says to his son or daughter, let's make it a mum, shall we? And she says to her daughter, Imagine if someone was to give you $1 million. What would be the first thing that you'd buy with it? And at that point, now I'm asking you directly now, if you got $1 million, what would be the first thing that you'd buy with it? And maybe you're thinking, oh yeah, you know, like that new condo, yes, or we could do upgrading, couldn't we? Or a new car, yes, or to take that holiday, do that safari, yeah, wouldn't that be nice? You could ask the children at this point, what is it that they would do with that $1 million? So the mum, she turns to her daughter and said, so, what would you like? It's hard, isn't it? What would be the first thing you'd buy? And the girl said, no, Mum, it's easy. And the mum said, really? Why? What would be the first thing that you'd buy? And the girl said, a thank you card. Was that your answer too? It's a very simple story. And in fact, in my telling, I've made it longer because in the book it's only 3 or 4 sentences. It's like this much. Is that so difficult to tell? I'm sure you could find an opportunity when gratitude and saying thank you was appropriate. So there's a story. Just try it and see what is the response and how that engages your kids in your class.